Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this cute little box. I've made it so that it can hang on the Christmas tree, and because it's going to be hanging on the tree, I've done it so that this lid is really nice and firm, because the last thing you want is for the bits and pieces inside to fall out. Okay. Equally with the lid, you need it to be nice and firm, but not so difficult that when you put it back on again it's going to damage. Now I've got 2 chocolates in here, which is a little bit of a weight there. But before I close it again, I just want to show you the lid. What I've done is I've actually folded over the lid. This isn't a cut edge here, which has meant that it's really nice and sturdy. Okay, so it's not a fight to get it on, but it does fit snugly. Okay. I'm going to do mine now in mint macaroon, and I'll give you all the card pieces that you're going to need and the measurements, but I'm going to cut the pieces with you, or at least I'm going to cut these 2 pieces with you. So first of all, the card pieces that you're going to need. Now what you should finish up with are 2 pieces, so you've got a slight one smaller than the other, because obviously the lid needs to be a bit bigger to be able to go over the top. Right, so the top of the box, which is the bigger one, measures 5 3/4 inches by 5 inches, which is 14.6 centimetres by 12.7 centimetres. The bottom of the box measures 5 11/16 of an inch by 4 15/16 of an inch, which is 14.4 centimetres by 12.5 centimetres. Then you need a piece of scrap for 2 snowflakes, and then you need 2 pieces, one to line the top of the box and one to line the bottom of the box, and they measure, one is 2 11/16 by 1 15/16, which is 6.8 by 4.9 centimetres, and the other one is 2 5/8 inches by 1 15/16 of an inch, which is 6.6 by 4.9 centimetres. I think that's probably the most difficult bit for me. Right, now this is just a sheet of A4. So if I move that out, I'm going to use my trimmer to cut this. Now I never use my trimmer because I love my guillotine, but this is absolutely fantastic for cutting sizes when you need to get down small, like 16ths. And I'm not a metric person, but I imagine it's probably very easy for people working with metric as well, when you've got to do like 14.6 and 12.7. Right, okay, so to start off with, I'm going to do the easy piece first, which is going to be the top piece. That measures 5 3/4 inches. Turn it 90 degrees and by 5 inches, which is, sorry, that's 14.6 centimetres by 12.7 centimetres. So that's the top piece, and I do measure T on there. That's going to be covered up, so it's no problem. Now I'm going to put this back in again. Now this is where I need 5 11/16. But really and truly I need 5 21/32, and that's not as horrible as it probably sounds. So I'm going to bring the camera down so that I can show you with the lines on the trimmer what you need to be looking at. Right, okay, I'll use my paper piercer. Now for the first one I'd said 5 11/16. Well, all these little marks here with the inches, they're all 16ths. Okay, so the 5 3/4, that was 9, no, it was 12/16. right, so 12. So we need 11, so we've got to come down to this line here. But we need it a tad smaller than 11/16. So we want to put our paper halfway between those two marks. Okay, so if you put your paper halfway in between there, you finish up with 21/32. It doesn't have to be absolutely precise on that, but as long as you are in between that mark, you'll be good to go. Okay, as you can see, that's lining up spot on to the centimetre mark below the 14.4 centimetre mark. Okay, so there's that one. Now I'm going to turn it. Now I need 4 15/16. Now 15/16 is this last one here, last little one before the 5. Now we need to go back slightly and do it, put our paper halfway between those two marks. If you're dealing with centimetres, you will go to the exact centimetre mark that is in there somewhere. Okay, so that was 15, and come back slightly, and that will be our mark. So that's 4 15/16. Right, now that should be, there we go. So it's a tad smaller on both sides, or two sides. That's fine. Now with the other two, this really is the sizes as it says. What did I say? 2 5/8, which is that one there, which is a bit too short. So if I do 2 5/8 here, 2 5/8. There, 2 5/8 by 1 15/16, which is that last line there. And then, did I just take it off of this? I think I did, didn't I? So across here I need it to be 2 11/16. That was 15. And that was 5/8. Yeah, okay. So this is 1 16 across here. Let's do this one first. 2 5/8 across here. And then turn it for my 1 15/16. Now this one, the 2 11ths, that was also for the top. Okay, so mark that. And then you just need a scrap for your, oops, you just need a scrap for the snowflakes. Okay, now it's plain sailing. Right, let me just zoom you out a little bit. There we go. So let me get rid of some of these pieces here. Right. So that's top, that's bottom. We need to emboss both of these. To save a little bit of time, I've already embossed one of these here. That was the one, the base. It should be, if I did it right, yeah, that's the base. I've done that one. So this is the top. Right, so piece of scrap paper. I need my Embossing Buddy. and the stamp set I'm using is Flurry of Wishes, and I'm going to be using this stamp for the box, but I'm going to use that and that for the decoration on the top of the box. So this is the large stamp. This is my VersaMark pad. It's perfectly okay. I know it looks terrible, but it is perfectly okay. So I'm just going to do a random pattern all over. One of the advantages of having a dirty VersaMark pad is you can sort of see where you've stamped. I think that's okay. Let me just tilt it a bit. Yes, that will be fine. If I put that there. Now, because I've gone off the edge, I'm not going to pour my embossing powder onto that sheet, because it will stick to the bit of VersaMarks where I've gone around the edges. So my my silver embossing powder is here. Okay, so that looks alright. I'll just pop that back into the into the little pot. Go down there for the time being. And I'm going to heat this with my heat tool. Let's hold one corner where I haven't stamped. Oh dear, look, I haven't done that very... Oh, I'm not going to go back and do that. I haven't stamped that and put powder on that bit properly, but that will either be cut off or tucked into side because it's the top, it's a lid. That's alright. Okay, so bear with me while I just get this done. Okay, beautiful, isn't it? The next thing we need to do is the scoring. Now this is the scoreboard that I'm offering my customers the opportunity of winning during November. As I say, full details at the end of the video. Right, now the base, that's this one here, we are going to score at 1.5 inches on all 4 sides, and that is 3.2 centimetres, and I tend to use the thinner end for my scoring on cardstock. Okay, so that's 1.5 inches, 3.2 centimetres. And for the other piece, the top piece, we need to score this at 3/4 of an inch and 1.5 inch on all four sides. On metric, that is 1.6 centimetres and 3.2 centimetres. Okay, so 3/4 and 1.5. 3/4, 1.5. Or for metric, that's 1.6 and 3.2. Okay. Now we'll do the base first, and if you have it so that you've got the longer side on the top here, and what we're going to do is we are going to cut up the score line on both of them, and we are going to do a slight mitre cut on the outside. Now if, for example, on this side, cut right on the edge of the score line and cut a nice straight line up to the centre, and then come at an angle over to that point there, so you're taking out a very slight wedge. Okay, I'll turn that upside down so you can see what I mean. Okay, now we're going to do that on all four. There's that one, and then we're going to do the two opposites. Now on this one, cut right on the edge of the score line, the edge being on the right hand side. Nice straight line down to the score line, and then cut this one down at an angle so that it meets up with your other cut line, hopefully, or not. Okay, that one I did a little bit excessive. Let's turn it over, you can't see it properly that way. Okay, but you get the idea. And turn it round and do the other side. So on the edge of the score line, that's on the left hand side, down to the score line, and then do another wedge down to your cut line. And then again on this one, edge of your score line, that's on the right hand side of the score line. And there we go. Okay, so that's what it should be looking like. So we're going to fold these and use our bone folder to get a nice crisp edge. You will find it's not quite so easy to do when you've got embossing on there. I don't know whether it's just metallic embossing or whether it happens on white or not. I don't think I've ever done a box like this where I've embossed the outside of it. Okay, so we get nice crisp edges here, and then fold that one in as well. And obviously it goes without saying, make sure that all your lines are matching up so you're going nice and straight. The last thing you need is a wonky box. Okay, now we're going to close this up like this, and then like this. And on this part I find it easiest to use Tombow. For the other part of the box we're going to be using tear and tape. Okay, so what I do, tuck those two in There's two ways of doing this. You can either do these two first and then glue them, go round and glue these, but it does mean to say that you have to, let me just see if I can describe that to you. If you just do these two and then that's stuck, when you come to put glue on these, you're trying to work like this, putting the glue on, or you have to fold them back and then put the glue down on there and then fold them back in again. So it's not very easy. I prefer to do it so that I put glue on all four. Whichever way you do it, you're going to have a little bit of struggle anyway. So it's just up to you to decide which way looks like the least of a struggle. And I think gluing 4 of them at the same time is the least. Okay, so just leave those 2 up like that, put the other 2 over, put the glue on, the glue on this one. Okay, now bring these 2 up first. Make sure you line up so you get a nice square box at the edge there. A nice square edge there. I find it easier if I have this sitting on my work surface. It's just a lot easier to see, I think it's a lot easier to see square corners like this. Okay, so that's the box. Now for the inside of the box, mark that one as top, so that one should go in the bottom. Just check to make sure that your measurements are right. If you're happy, then put some glue on it. You could use snail, fast fuse, tear and tape, snail, whatever. It doesn't have to be glued all over. In fact, it's quite a tight fit and it probably doesn't need to be glued at all, but I just prefer to know that it's not going to go walkabouts anywhere. Now what I do with this, I don't run this all over because you get scratch lines on it. So what I do is I just use my point and go round all 4 edges. You will finish up with a line where your bone folder has gone, but because it's uniform, it looks as if it's part of the design. Okay, so once that bit is done, then I just use my finger and I push the rest of it down. But I don't use a finger now. I don't know whether you'll be able to see the line that I've got down there. No, not sure. Oh yes, you can. Yes, you can see where I've run the bone folder around there. Okay, but it's uniform, so it looks okay. Just make sure the corners are down there. Right, so that's my box. Now my lid. You have a choice. You can either do all your folding first, or do your cutting first and then the folding afterwards. I prefer to do my cutting first. So what we do is, again, with our long side up here, we're going to cut on the same line that we did before. Okay, so it's this second line in here, this one. We're not touching that. In fact, shall I turn it over? Can you see that better? No. Oh, here we go. That's better. Okay, so we're going to be cutting on this line here, up to that score line, and this one, up to that score line. And we're going to be doing the same there. We do that first, then I'll come back and explain the next bit. And we're going to do this exactly the same. We want this side to be a nice straight line. That's on the left-hand side of that score line. And then we're going to cut that little triangle bit out. And we're going to do the same on this side. Straight line on the score line. That's on the right-hand side of it. and then cutting the triangle bit out. Turning it around and doing exactly the same on the other side. I didn't do that one far enough, let's try that one again. As you can see, frequently I miss meeting up the two ends. Right, and again, this is on the right hand side of the score line, and then a slanted cut to try and meet up. True to form, I missed it. There we go. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this sideways. Now I'll do it from the back again to show you. What we are going to do now is we are going to cut just on this line here. Okay, that's the second one in, not this one, this one, and we're going to do it on both sides. They're not showing up quite so well, are they? I wonder if you can see it better on the other side. No, not at all. Okay, well, it's definitely that second score line in there and that second score line, but only going as far as the first score line. Alright, and it is just a cut, and you're going to cut on this one, you're going to cut on the inside of the score line, that's on the left hand side. In fact, that needs to be an angled cut. And this one needs to be an angled cut. So let me show you what I mean on this. Move that out of the way. Put that against a straight line. So you can see how I've angled that. And I've angled that one. Right, and now we need to do the same up this end. So I'm going to do an angle just up to the first score line and an angle just up to the first score line. Okay, so I've done that again this end. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut these pieces off that I've been folding back, but we're going to do it at an angle across here. Okay, so they're very, very shaped tabs, and they should meet up like that. Okay, let me show you again what that should look like. Okay, so we need to do that on all four. So let's do this side. And then on this side. And then this one. Okay. Now we need to fold on all of our lines again. If you haven't cut all of these as much as you should have done, you will see where you've not done enough, and you will get a chance to do it, to do a bit more. I know that. I've made that mistake, and it's normally because when I've done it, it's been because I haven't done my angles sharp enough, which is a lot better than doing them too sharp. Right, now this part of the box comes together really nicely. I'm going to use tear and tape, and I am just going to put a piece on the four long flaps. There we go. First time I did this one, I sealed it up with Tombow. Not a good idea. This is just so much easier to do it like this. Right, so all we need to do is take these two end ones off first. And fold that over. Okay, so that's that bit done. Now these, what's going to happen is those are going to go in. This is going to come up and over like that. Now this is where I got caught last time. When I got this far and I brought this one over, I found that I hadn't cut this in far enough. So do test it before you start trying to glue it down. Well, that one feels okay. And if it does go down okay, take your strip, your cover off, and pop those in that, and then go for it. If you find it's not working, then you'll have to come back out and cut a little bit extra off of here. Okay, so let's try that again. Put those two in, that one up, that one down. There we go. That fits in nicely as well. Let's just take that piece off. Pop that there, that up. And there we go. Okay, one lid. So, moment of truth, that should now fit on. There we go. Okay, so that fits on really, really nicely. Now what we need to do is, before we put our liner in, we need to do our ribbon. I'm using our sheer linen ribbon, and I'm going to take oh dear, did I say 8 inches or 9? Oh bother. Well, I'm going to do 9 inches, because I'd much rather my ribbon was a bit on the long side rather than a bit on the short side. Now the easy way of doing this is with your silicone mat and fast fuse. You could use Snell as well, I imagine. Now what you need is 1.5 inches here. So if you measure that, oh, did I measure that for you? Yes, 3.2 centimetres. Okay, so that is 1.5 inches there, and I'm not going to move that finger now, that stays. So what I'm going to do, put it down with my fast fuse. I am going to put fast fuse on the last 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to measure 1.5 inches on this one. That one, 9 inches. Now I'm not going to move my finger now there. That's my 1.5 inches, or 3.2 centimetres. More fast fuse Now, keeping my finger there, in fact what I'm going to do, I'm taking my finger off and just moving up very slightly, so my finger now is on a piece of ribbon that doesn't have any glue on it. So now I'm going to make sure that that fingernail goes on the edge of my box so that no glue comes above here. Okay, so if I do it like that, I know all the glue is on the inside. Also, you can see that I have gone inside very slightly. I am not right on the edge of my box. Okay, so if I can turn this over without dropping it. Okay, right, now I've twisted around the other way. Okay. What I mean is, I'm about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge there. And the reason I do that is because when I put this one in, if I'm a little bit narrow on the sides, if that was right to the edge, you'd be able to see it. And now I've scrunched that up. Right, okay. I'll sort that out in a jiffy. But what you need to do is use your fingernail to push that against that back wall and then bring it forward to flatten that out as well. But I need to unstick that first. If I leave that down as a lump there, it's going to be a lump in the lid, and I really don't want that. Let's see if I can pull this apart. I didn't like the sound of that crack. Right, okay. So now I can push that bit down. Okay, now I'm going to do the same on the other side. And what you need to do is make sure your ribbon stays straight. Now I'm going to put my fingernail above the end of the ribbon. I'm going to put it on top of the box so that I know no glue is coming up over the edge of the box. I'm about 1/4 of an inch in. Okay. Now I'm going to use this finger, let's see if I can do it this mid-air. I'm going to use my fingernail on this one and I'm going to push that in against the wall and then into the corner and then pull it out. Okay, I've only done that gently in case I'm miles out. Right, let's give that a push and that a push. Yeah, that's okay. I just had a feel to make sure that I haven't got any glue on the outside. So now that should go into there, but when you do it, make sure you do the end that goes over the ribbons first. Now mine feels a little bit on the tight side. I wonder if, oh, I've got my trimmer here, haven't I? I wonder if I can just trim off a tiny little tad. I don't like doing these little amounts on the trimmer. Oh, it looks as if it's done a good job. Okay, let's try that. Oh, that's a lot easier. Right, now because I've got my fast fuse here, I'm just going to use that. And then push it up against the ribbon first, because if you run out, if you've got a gap, it's a lot better to be down this end, not up against the ribbon. And then use your bone folder again, seal down the edge. In fact, that one is quite short on mine. But if I'd put it down there and you could see the ribbon, it would be very obvious. I had to really do a double take on that to see whether it was short. I thought at first it was a ribbon, a shadow, but it isn't. Okay, and then I just used my finger to put that down. And then that, in fact, let me do my 2 chocolates. Okay, pop my lid on my box, and of course the ribbon will make the lid a bit tighter as well. And so once you've got your ribbon on like that, you just pop it around. In fact, I should have done 8 inches, I can see that now. But never mind, I'd much rather it was a bit on the long side rather than a bit on the short side. Okay, now all I need to do are the 2 snowflakes. So that's that, my dust buddy. I'll bring my sheet of paper back. In fact, that was the one for, yep, that was the one for the stamping. That's one stamp, and the other stamp this red was from some Christmas cards I did a couple of years ago, and obviously they were red, and I was using iridescent ice, and it meant keep going all over like that with my VersaMark pad. As you can see, it picked up an awful lot of red. Right, now I didn't go off the edge, so that's okay. So just put some silver embossing powder. Now, excuse me again while I have a little bit of noise with my heat tool. Now I did try, and I wanted to remember to check up on the name of this punch. These 2 stamps, they are actually, when you get the set, they do come joined together, but as you can see by this straight line here and here, I've cut mine, separated them, so I find them a lot easier to use like that. I find I get a lot more use out of them. So first of all, let's cut this one, punch this one rather, it's not cutting. And then the smaller one. Don't need those bits. Now I want them to curl up slightly, but it's very difficult when you've got embossing on there, so what I do is I curl them under first, and that just helps to break up the fibres a bit, and then I just gradually fold it up the direction I want it to go. I don't want it massively curling up, not like a flower, but I just like it to have a little bit of dimension there. Okay, so I've curled that one under, give that a little fold up as well, and then I'll put these together with dimensionals, and I'll pop it onto my box with dimensionals as well. But let's do this one first. That there, that one there. Now normally I would put rhinestones or something in the centre, but at the moment we have these gorgeous little things. I don't think they show up very well on the camera, But there's bells, holly and little gingerbread men, and I'm putting these on the front of my boxes. Now on this one I put the holly. So I don't think you can see that very well, can you? Yes, you can, that's alright. This one's got the bells. And this one is going to have a little gingerbread man, and I've already prepared him beforehand. I've just put some silver thread through there. He's sitting on a glue dot, which I'm just going to pick off and pop him on there. Okay, so there we go. There's today's project. I hope you like it, and I hope you give it a try. Something a little bit different to decorate your tree with. In fact, there's 3 lovely colours there. They look good together. And of course, my first one, or at least my second one that I did, which I was pleased with, but I should have used red ribbon, and it should have been a lot shorter than that. But my really very first one was this one. Definitely far too short. Okay, so I hope you like today's project. I'm very pleased with it. I hope you give it a try. Don't be put off by the 16ths and the 32nd of inches. If you've got a trimmer, it's really very easy. As I say, I am running a promotion during November for my online customers. For every £50 you spend in my online shop, I will put your name into a prize draw to win a Stampin' Up scoreboard. As you saw me do all the scoring earlier on, it's one of those. The amount, the £50 is cumulative, so if you put in an order for £75 and then one for £25, that would add up to £100, so your name would go in twice. You don't have to do the order all at the same time, but I will draw a lucky winner on the 1st of December. So think about that. If you want to buy any of the products that I've used here, the link for my 24/7 shop will be in the box below. Click on that and that'll take you straight there. I will put all the products and the measurements for this project on the screen. If you're watching on a device where you can't see the details, it will all be in the box below again. If you've enjoyed watching my video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button. If you have any questions, please leave a message in the box below, or send me an email to JanB at JanB Cards. I'm always very happy to help you. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.